Thank you for listening to the BJJ Brick Podcast. We'll be bringing you Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and good times. We hope to flatten your Jiu-Jitsu learning curve, help you get the most out of your grappling ability, and meet your goals both on and off the mat.
Welcome back, my friends, to episode 70 of the BJJ Brick Podcast. This is Byron, and I'm here with my buddy Gary.
How's everybody doing today?
I hope they're doing great, and I'm sure they are.
And we got another episode for everybody today.
Yep. We have an interview with Isaac Doederlein. He's a brown belt. He's a featherweight brown belt, and he recently won Europeans at his weight class and got second place in the absolute, which is amazing. So really cool information from him about competing overseas, about doing the absolute and how he views that, and a lot of good advice, competition advice, just training advice in general. So really cool to talk to him.
So stay tuned and check out that interview with Isaac.
Yep. We also have a quote of the week from Henry Akins and an article of the week from learningbjj.com. Gary, man, last week I had to, our schedules did not match up. Usually we try to record this, not film, on the weekends. And I was busy Saturday and Sunday I was at work, and before I knew it, I'm in here on Monday morning by myself trying to figure out, and it was like, it was okay, but it's weird to talk when you're the only one in the room.
Yeah, well, I'm surprised you didn't use that doll you have with my head put on it.
Oh, yes, I do have one of those, and I should have got that out, but
yeah. Well, it must have been hard because, I've seen a couple of these emails we get about how I carry the show. The one from my dad, the one from my sister, the one from my brother. Said they would listen to the show because of me. Yeah, so, it must have been a little
Those
tough.
are the three of our biggest supporters, is your family. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad to be back here this week. And this week we ran into the same stuff. This time, Byron was busy Saturday. I was busy Sunday. So we're doing this Friday night.
Yeah, here we are.
And we don't have a lot of time because Byron has to go teach a class.
It's time to go train. In about 30 minutes, I'm walking out the door. Before we get going, I'd like to make an announcement. There is a breast cancer charity BJJ seminar going on. It's in Corona, California, by Pacific Top Team Corona. It's being taught by some world-class professors, Rodrigo Antunes, Frederick Ketter, Mark Armstrong, and Juan Pablo Garcia. Looks like an absolute outstanding event. It takes place February 21st, 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. So that's a long day of training jiu-jitsu. Hopefully pick up some great new techniques and support a great cause if you're able to go. If you're not able to go, they do have an online way to donate money to fight breast cancer. I'll put a form for that online. That way you could help pitch in and show these guys support. And I'll tell you what, if you donate, go ahead and take a screenshot of the receipt that you get from your donation. Send it to me at bjjbrick@gmail.com, or send it to us as a message on our Facebook page. I'll get some information from you, and I'll send you out a BJJ Brick gi patch. Little incentive. It's not much, but something we could do to kind of help motivate you maybe to donate a little bit to the cause to fight breast cancer. I want to thank the guys for doing this. Thanks to JP Garcia for hitting me the heads up on this. Appreciate it a lot, buddy. And keep up the good work. Let's get on with our quote of the week. This is from last week's interview of Henry Akins. So here we go.
I have a quote that I have on some of the bottom of my emails that it's actually from the movie Gladiator. And it's, what we do in this life echoes in eternity. And it's just something I believe in, that we have the ability to impact those around us and change the world around us. And that's a really, really important message for people, to make a positive impact in the world. I think, that's one of the things that I love about being a teacher, is that I know I have the ability to make a positive impact in my students. And if I can do that, it will affect those people around them. And it creates a ripple effect, So, that's one of the quotes that I really like, because it really makes you conscious that your actions affect others. We're all kind of sharing the planet together, and we're all here together. And, it's not about me. It's, about serving others and what we can do to help everyone around us.
That's really cool. I like how you framed it up. Your actions really do affect other people, and the ripple effect. I like that quote. That was Henry Akins presenting the quote, "What we do in life echoes in eternity."
And he's talking about having an impact on others, which you can do as a teacher. And we'll get into that in our next segment about somebody who said
that's true.
They were impacted by Henry. And it's funny because that person told us, that they listened to the Henry podcast there, and then this last week went searching for some techniques and found one from Henry Akins. So that's pretty neat. Especially it goes right along with the quote.
Yeah, I like how it's good. All our quotes that we get are usually really cool, and a lot of them are related to on the mat. But this one is an off the mat type of quote. But it could take place on the mat, what you do in life on the mat or off the mat, whatever. Echoes the eternity. It affects, if Gary comes in and everybody in class or work is rude to him, that's going to echo throughout the rest of his day, and who knows how long that will go through. And then the people that you see are going to get affected by that as well. Like a little echo kind of, it gets smaller as it goes out to more people, but it still has that ripple effect.
The big thing he said was, he wants to make a positive impact on people. And that's the opposite of the echo you're talking about. Everybody will have a smile on their face after you touch them. So that's pretty neat.
When I don't know, I think about occasionally you'll be at some store and the cashier is like getting chewed out by somebody, and it's almost some cashiers you can tell are embarrassed by it. Some of them actually feel bad about what's happening, and it's actually like hurting them as a person or whatever. But I haven't ever like yelled at the person who's yelling at the cashier. I've thought about it, like, dude, calm down, but I usually that person goes away and I'll walk up to the cashier and I'll try to like just take him right out of it, just like change the whole thing. Yep. Man, that guy was crazy.
And that goes a long way. And I can tell you, I was a cashier before at Wendy's, and so I know how those people feel. I was in that spot, and I know how that next person in the line can change your total attitude for the next few hours. Instead of being down and everything else carries over that way, just one positive interaction is going to uplift me.
And it's a huge, like a roller coaster deal. Like I try to side with him, like, that guy was crazy. I don't I can't believe he was saying that. And then try to give him something nice, like a compliment, not something that's insincere. But if they
have you tried, next time you see that, you should tap the customer on the shoulder and then pull guard and say, what did you say?
Well, I would like to just hop on the back.
You could put.
I don't want to turn him around and just hop on his back.
Yep.
And hop on his back, reach over, high five the cashier, smack, and then
spin around for a triangle. Have you thought about like
that's pretty street realistic?
Yeah, pulling guard and then rolling into a knee bar.
I haven't even thought about that for that situation.
X guard sweep.
You gotta.
There's a lot of stuff you can do in Target,
in a grocery store. Not to mention, if I have a banana, I'm gonna peel that sucker and put it behind him.
That always works.
That's like
especially right before takedowns.
Yeah. Unless it's too close to me, but anyway.
I always carry an extra gi and tell the guy to put it on first.
See, this is why it's better when Gary's on the show.
Sorry, I'm the one who messes the show up.
It's awesome. No, man, that's all good stuff. It's all good. So, Gary, let's get on with the article of the week. We're having a good time here. Our article is from learningbjj.com. It's a relatively new blog about Jiu-Jitsu. It's written by Kaylee, and this article is called Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and the Internet Part 1.
So that means we'll have another part.
At least one more part. Who knows?
Yeah, you're right. Could be more.
It could be like a 9-part series.
Yeah.
I'd assume, probably 2. But there's a lot of places you can take this because it's important. It's
this is a very great blog article on the blog right here.
Yeah, when I started our website, BJJ Brick, I wrote some articles. I suck at writing articles. She's a good writer.
Yeah, well, your problem is you didn't graduate from high school or elementary school.
I graduated, but didn't do a lot of work. But I eked by it. But she's got. I had my wife read these, and she says that she likes her writing style.
Yeah.
And I later appreciated that, but at first I don't even notice writing style because
me neither. I just read it.
So
or look at the pictures.
Very very cool articles on here. Great writing style, like according to my wife. But this one is about learning jiu-jitsu and the internet. She had, from what I understand, a tough time doing a forward roll from standing, and that's not something that is typically even really worked on in class. You just do it.
It's really, nobody really shows you to do it. You just warm up with it. And I remember we were lucky, though. I remember Well, maybe it's because I was terrible at doing it. But John Castillo helped me out.
Yeah, he.
But yeah, it's something that a lot of times somebody really doesn't teach you. Somebody might show you real quick your first day, but then expect you to do it, and you will feel uncomfortable if you can't do that.
You don't want to just flop on your back and end up body slamming yourself either.
Yeah, it's like me with cartwheels when they try to, when you're doing cartwheels. I'm horrible at cartwheels.
Oh, okay, man, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I'm terrible.
We'll have to work on your cartwheels, my friend.
Do you have any videos out there on cartwhells?
We could do a video. Okay. We could show like you doing your first one, and then
after you've
and then each one. No, like you're working up, and then when you get injured and have to quit, we'll end it with that.
Yeah.
So she writes about how she was able to learn how to do the forward roll
from Henry Aiken's video,
which
we thought was awesome. Just going back to our quote there. But you do hear a lot of people talk about, the internet can be bad there too. There's good and bad about using the internet.
Yeah, and she actually mentioned our podcast at that point with our interview with Matt Thornton, and we were talking about how and I don't remember that word for word what we said in that, but the internet can be a negative thing, and it can be frustrating for instructors to teach. Like this month, we're gonna teach arm bars, or we have some focus to class, and then the students, armbar from guard isn't the most fascinating thing to learn sometimes, and you go out and you learn something that's a little crazy or something that's out there.
I think there's two things that can become you can go too quick. Next thing you know, you're barambolas and all sorts of stuff in your first week. You're trying to do that. Or in the second thing, there's a lot of terrible jiu-jitsu instruction out there online. I mean, some really, really bad stuff.
Yeah.
And you learn something incorrectly, you put your hands in the wrong spot or this and that. It's hard to unlearn those techniques. If you go home and you're practicing with your dog or your wife and you've got these bad habits from a bad YouTube video, you're going to be in trouble.
Yeah. It's part of the problem with online learning, even if it's good instruction, is doing it. You're usually at home. I mean, if you could pull up YouTube on your phone and do that at the academy, that's great. But at home, you try to watch like 9 different guillotine videos, and maybe make your guillotine, remember some stuff. But to watch one, it doesn't help me that much. A, I have to remember that I'm doing it while I'm rolling, and B, I'm rolling with somebody who doesn't like. You need that training without the resistant opponent first in order to kind of get it going. I mean, and that part of the reason why the thing might have worked so well for her is because it was a movement that didn't rely on anybody else.
But you go back to my situation, and I spend a lot of time training on my own. With my friends. I mean, not necessarily in a classroom, a gym setting, actually it's a gym, but not at a practice, a team practice. And I'll do a lot of stuff on the outside, and I'll do that a lot of times if I'm, working on a certain move. I'll pull up something, and I will try to remember it, and then I'll go work with that person, who's coming over. We're rolling in my basement or my garage or whatever. So I mean, for my situation, it works pretty well. Yeah. But I do have to watch. I've been in the game long enough, so I know who to watch, what not to watch. Hey, you're leaving your hand behind. That doesn't, look very smart.
And part of there's not a big outcry against people learning from DVDs and apps and things like that, because generally speaking, if you're going to go that far and make it, you're going to be legitimate with your teaching versus, just putting up a video. I can put up a video, Gary.
Yeah.
I mean, it probably won't be that good, but so anybody can.
Yeah.
But if you're I'm not gonna make a DVD.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like anybody can throw up a video. That's kind of what you're saying. But DVDs are good. But if you know who you like and trust as far as teaching you techniques, online learning's okay. Yeah. It's just a supplement.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a supplement. That's a big key right there. It's a supplement as long as it's used correctly.
Yeah. And the thing that's good about it is if you are really focused on one thing, working on your BJJ brick, that move that you're going to smash with, you could go and research that move and actually figure out little details.
That's how I like to do it.
Yeah.
I like to watch a bunch of different people do the same move, and you'll always find different stuff. It broaden my perspective.
Yeah.
I get a little, different take on a lot of things, and as she says in the article, some people explain it a little different. Like the best explaining I've ever seen that really I could understand is Matt Kirtley. He's a black belt, and I've seen some of his stuff. And basically, when he was first had some of his stuff out there, he was a purple belt. And boy, the way he was talking clicked into my head like nobody's business. Like, so I've been following him, and Ryan Hall's stuff works really great. And like I said the other day, Rolly Delgado's leg lock, I totally got it. And some people I just totally understand, and some people I don't get it as well.
Yeah, teaching is not the same skill as doing jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
It has to do with communication. It helps if you're good at jiu-jitsu to teach jiu-jitsu, but
yeah. Just because you're you're great on the mat doesn't translate that you're going to be a great instructor. And some people may not be incredible on the mat, but I know some people who just got really great minds. They can see a lot of stuff, and they can
explain it well.
Yeah, explain it.
Going on in the article, it's a good sized article, and I'll put a link to it in the show notes. But she says that she got so amped up about our podcast that she emailed us, which she did. I emailed the guys at BJJ Brick Podcast. Turns out they're just as cool as they seem.
I think we probably paid her to write that. So
I asked my wife, because I don't know how cool I seem.
Yeah.
So I said,
I think you're pretty cool.
I said, how? I told her this, and she kind of laughed at it. And I said, okay, scale of 1 to 10, how cool do I seem? She thought for like 2 seconds and said that, she goes, honey, I love you. And that was it.
That's a 10.
No, that's a 0. That's like she didn't want to give me a number. She was being nice to me.
I think it's a 10.
It was a 0.
Because if you didn't seem cool, she wouldn't have married you.
No, she didn't marry me for my coolness. But I thought it was funny. I laughed.
It's for Byron's good looks.
Yeah, she could give me maybe a 2 or a 3.
Yeah. Still is better than a 0.
I guess.
Don't worry, I'll give you an 8. Solid 8.
Thanks, Gary. Yeah. Coming from a guy as cool as Gary, that
means... I'm a solid 2.
Anyway, but yeah, she did email us, and we talked a little bit back and forth, and that was nice. And I mean, if you ever have something that you think we might, if you hear something in our podcast and have a question about it, or it bothers you, or you write on, or whatever, bjjbrick@gmail.com, or message us on our Facebook fan page.
Yeah, because it's awesome. Like, even if we may not totally agree on everything, we're going to talk. We're going to have new friends. We're going to listen to each other's perspectives. And actually, I found myself a new blog. I think this blog's awesome.
So, we're looking forward to seeing what else she writes up there. But she did. The article goes on about safety and how some safety things might come up if you're primarily online, primarily learning jiu-jitsu online. Or another thing that she mentioned in this article was that she's the only woman that trains at her school, and that she says she's fine with that. That's the way it is. She understands, but there's an online community of support for her that she's not going to skid at her school. Yeah, and that's cool. Like I didn't think about that.
I'd never thought about that. That's awesome. And like we've even had a previous podcast with Shamiko from Girls and Geese, and Amber Oxford from Girls and Geese. So definitely, the internet, it gives you a lot of people to reach out to. People in your same demographics per se.
Yeah, and this is part 1. Oh, this is part 1 of 2-part series in the blog. I bet we can get her to do more than 2 parts on this online learning thing.
Well, I think her second part wasn't going to be written; it was going to be on YouTube.
Oh yeah. Demonstrations. But there's a lot of stuff that you talk about online learning. I think that YouTube has changed the way the jiu-jitsu tournaments even look. Because people used to be a mystery what people were doing in competition.
Yeah.
You film your own footage
and
you take it back and you try to figure out what the heck went on. But now everything's online.
Yeah.
You can watch what happened last year at the Worlds or at this tournament you went to and try to figure out your competitors a little bit better. It develops like faster learning. It's making it evolve faster as far as like a new technique comes out, worm guard, bam, it's new.
Yeah.
It doesn't take 2 weekends for everybody to basically figure out what the idea of it is.
Yeah.
And then
people start filming it.
Yeah. Yep. Like it if that was like 10 years ago, worm guard there would have been 2 clips of it.
We would have had to wait like 6 months till it came out in Grappling Magazine.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just, and then it would be pictures of a technique, which can work, but it's tougher than having Keenan Cornelius explain it himself. I mean, so that's a pretty interesting thing. It's good or bad. It's making it evolve faster. I mean, you can't deny that.
Yeah, so that's the positive thing.
Yeah,
but definitely check out her blog there, and we'll also put a link up when part 2 comes out there, so everybody can watch that or read that.
Or maybe
I was kidding about the YouTube thing.
So fun to read about. Thanks for emailing us. We appreciate it. And Gary, before we get to the interview, just want to remind people that we have a couple of audiobooks available for download. If you want a little bit, basically it's like a short episode of the BJJ Brick podcast. They're about, 15, 20 minutes long a piece. If you go to our Facebook page or on the website, there's a little area to put in your email address. And every Tuesday, so I do it like a day after the podcast, every Tuesday, it sends out an email. It basically has the show notes from the episode the day before. And then at the very bottom of that, you got to scroll all the way down to the bottom, and you will find a link to a Dropbox folder, which is the best way I figured out to distribute this stuff anyway.
It works.
But there's 3 audiobooks in there now. I'm working on getting a couple more in there pretty soon. Breaking Your Limits is one of them. How to compete in a BJJ tournament even if you're on a busy schedule. And then Tilt, how to make your BJJ game more balanced. So got good reviews from those. If you think you like them, they're free. They just type in your email address and you'll be sent a weekly email, and the link will be at the bottom.
Definitely check it out.
Pretty simple. Gary, let's hear about the world's most interesting grappler, and then we'll roll on to the interview.
Sounds perfect.
He is the most interesting grappler in the world.
A group of scientists teamed up to study his competition videos. Einstein refused to continue research because of its destructive power. He once choked out an opponent using only his Wi-Fi connection. When he models for gi companies, he uses only his bad side. He only gets ringworm on his ring finger.
I don't always listen to podcasts, but when I do, I prefer the BJJ Brick podcast. Stay sweaty, my friends.
All right, my friends, I'm happy to bring Isaac Doederlein to the BJJ Brick podcast. Isaac, how are you doing today?
I'm great. How are you doing?
I'm doing really good. Happy to have you on the show, and really looking forward to talking to you and getting some good advice from you and learn about you and what you're up to.
It's good to be here. Thanks for having me.
You are a 22-year-old brown belt, is that correct?
Yes.
You just recently won your weight class at Featherweight at the Europeans, and then you got, was it second or silver in the open weight class?
Yep, that's correct.
That is quite an amazing accomplishment. Could you tell us a little bit more about yourself?
I've been training jiu-jitsu for about 10 years now. I started when I was about 11 years old, training like a judo program. And, I've been training with Cobrinha now for 3 years, full time. And I'm from Arizona. Yeah, that's about it.
What got you into the martial arts at such a young age?
My mother, she was volunteering for like a church group, and there they had a little judo kids program, and she really wanted me to start getting into some kind of physical activity, and I had tried so many things like soccer, baseball, basketball, and nothing ever really worked for me. But when I tried judo and jiu-jitsu, I completely fell in love with it. It gave me confidence, and ever since I started, I haven't really looked back since.
That's cool. And that's a great thing about the martial arts. What it does for kids, sometimes they can't seem to find that place to fit in, and a lot of times, kid going into martial arts school, they fit in great, and it really is a good thing for them to develop. You said about 3 years ago you started training with Cobrinha. Is that correct?
Yep, that's correct.
How has that been?
It's been an amazing experience. When I was 18, I had graduated high school, and I was training at a pretty good jiu-jitsu school in Arizona. But all my friends were going to college, and I was thinking, what what do I want to do with my life, And I had talked to a friend who had been training at Cobrinha's, and I had actually tried out a few other schools. But when I had gone to LA to try out Cobrinha's, after the first class, I completely fell in love with the program and everything. And then I said, you know what, I'm going to move out to Los Angeles to train with Cobrinha. And a lot of things has happened between now and then, but going from living on couches and floors and things like that, just to kind of like find a place to stay. But, after these 3 years, like things have I've been starting to figure things out, and life's good, training out here, teaching and, training with Cobrinha. He's an amazing instructor, always giving his students guidance and mental advice for competition and things. And it's been an amazing experience.
Sounds like a big sacrifice you made, or a big like leap in faith, like packing up and heading out there and to train. How was that? What did that feel like when you were making that decision? Was it easy, or was it very difficult?
It was the most difficult thing in my entire life. When I was 18, I was kind of a troublemaker and like always getting in trouble, and I was getting in trouble at school, and I didn't have a lot of responsibility. So when I had moved out here, I only had $700 on my credit card, and I said, you know what, I'm gonna try it. And I packed all my things in my car, and I came out here, and I stayed at a guy's house who I barely knew, and I just I figured it out. But I can tell you, the first 4 or 5 months were really hard for me, really hard emotionally. I didn't know like how to manage money. I didn't know how to eat good. I didn't know how to even simple things like taking care of myself, like getting simple hygiene stuff. And it was just, and here in LA, you can't, almost nobody has washer and dryer. So I had to start going to the dry clean, or to the laundry place and everything. So it was really difficult, but after sticking it out, everything seemed to work out.
Yeah. If you could, this might be a weird question, but if you can go back in time and give yourself some advice, what would you say to help that transition?
Probably save a little bit more money.
Yeah.
Do a little more research about having to live on your own, and how to manage and organize things.
Yeah.
I definitely it was a big maturity thing. That's what made it difficult. I was a lot more immature. So if I could go back in time, definitely I would have asked my parents or talked to other people or gotten more advice about having to manage things by myself.
But it sounds like you learned it one way or the other, and you're doing good now. Yeah,
I know. In my life, I've always seen learn the hard way in almost everything. So always. So, but once you learn it the hard way, you never make that mistake again.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
What do you do off the mat?
I teach at one of Cobrinha's affiliate schools. So that's what I do for money. I teach privates and things. But when I'm not on the mat, I'm usually just hiking or going shopping with my wife. So just usually normal people things.
Yeah.
Just going out and I have friends, go out on the weekends. Get a bite to eat, a nice restaurant, have a cheat meal every now and then.
Yeah. Could you describe your game or your style of BJJ to somebody who hasn't seen you yet?
I would say I would say it's dynamic, because in my style of jiu-jitsu, I'm never looking for just one thing. Whether I'm playing guard or passing, I'm always trying to take what my opponent's giving to me. So when I'm playing guard, it's like I have a few guards that I like to play, but when my opponent's breaking my grips and not letting me get anything, I'll bait them. I'll let them come to me, and then I'll just take what they give to me and I'll play. And same thing when it comes to passing. When my opponent's tying me up and playing a lot of spider guard or things like that, I tend to try to break grips and back up and kind of loose pass Toreando and things. But and also when my opponent is locking me down, I like to pass with pressure and things. So it just really depends on how my opponent is trying to control me, and then I just try to take advantage of what I have.
So you're not trying to just work one particular set of techniques. You're adapting what you're going to do based on what they're.
Yeah, it's very. Let's say so I like the sit up guard. Do you know the Cobrinha style sit up guard? Have you ever seen that before?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's like this. I like the sit up guard and I like to go for it, but I don't just have one setup to get there. So I have like 4 or 5 different setups to get to that one position. So it's like whatever he's giving me, I'm going to take and I'm going to find a way to get to that position. And same thing with like Berimbolo and other things like that, omoplatas. It's like not just one setup, but it's like what you're giving me, I'm going to find a way to take you back into like into what I like to do. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. Like you're funneling the positions to go back to where you want it to be.
Yes.
It sounds like it's had a lot of success for you. You've won many tournaments, just that one in the Europeans of lately, but you've been on the podium multiple times at many big events. So it sounds like that's a great formula for you to get up there.
Yeah. I'm trying my best. I just try to copy my idols, especially Cobrinha. And there's nothing better than having him as an instructor if you want to be just like him, because you can kind of pick his brain every day.
Yeah, that's cool. What are your goals that you have for yourself, maybe for this year and then beyond?
This year, I want to in my weight division, I want to go undefeated. I want to win every single tournament that I possibly can. I'm going to try and compete as much as I can. I'm trying to do like 7 or 8 competitions before the Worlds. And I want to get more absolute titles. That's my biggest goal, is the absolute titles. The Pan Ams, Brazilian Nationals, and the Worlds. If I can get the absolute titles in those, my goals will be complete for the year.
Wow! And so what of your training changes with the goal of the absolute titles? I mean, how are you adjusting for that?
Definitely rolling with bigger guys. That's the best way.
Yeah.
Trying, because you have to actually really try to train with as many different kinds of people as you can, because if you just train with one type of person or one type of game, you're just going to be prepared for that kind of game. So it's like, it's good to roll with as many different size, many different people, so you kind of like develop your game and you're kind of ready for every kind of body type and style, Yeah. So the best way is just to train with as many different people as you can. Big guys, roll with a lot of big guys. That helps a lot.
Yeah, and you don't want to get. I mean, in the tournament, even with in your weight class, there's such variety in techniques that the guys are going to throw at you. You need to be ready for that.
Yeah, you have
in order to remain undefeated in your weight class, you're going to see a huge range of techniques come at you.
Yeah, you have to. Every time I compete, I'll watch my videos over and over and over, because I try to figure out, like, if I didn't, even if I want to fight, if I lost, or if I want to fight and I didn't pass a guy's guard, or if I wasn't able to sweep him right away, I watch over and over and say, okay, what can I do for next time I fight this particular guy or another guy that has a game like him? What can I do against these particular opponents? Like what are the right grips to break? What are the right sides to pass on, and things like that? It really comes down to that a lot, is studying fight footage.
Yeah, I like how you. I ask you about how you're going to get more absolute titles. The idea that you're going to train more with bigger guys and get used to that and develop game to deal with that. Your plan wasn't to gain a bunch of weight and become the big dude at the top of the food chain anyway, right?
No way.
You think you're going to stay there at featherweight?
Yeah, I'm pretty small for the division, so I think it's a good way for me. If I was to go up, if I could, I would love to go up to lightweight just to make the absolutes a little bit easier.
Yeah.
If I could, but I've been trying to get some mass and eat a lot, but it's like sometimes I'll get like 2 pounds, sometimes 3 pounds over, and then I'll have to cut. But a lot of times, if I'm not like right on about my diet, I just drop right back down. Like before I left for Europe, I was here in LA training, and I was 2 pounds over, and I said, oh, like I got to watch my weight when I go over there. And I got sick and jet lagged, and like I couldn't train for a few days. And then when I started training again, I'd already lost, I think, 6 or 7 pounds. So it's getting weight isn't the easiest thing for me right now.
Yeah.
Maybe when I get older.
You're still young, and you're working so hard on the mat. Are you lifting weights at all, or is it all mat time, or what are you doing for training?
I'm lifting weights. Yes, I have a strength and conditioning coach, O'Neill. I work out with him 3 days a week, and we try to put on that size.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you always competed? You want to compete 7 or 8 times before the Worlds. Have you always competed like that much?
Before training with Cobrinhas, I didn't compete that much. I would just compete like 2 or 3 times a year, the bigger competitions. But since I moved to LA, I try to compete as much as I can, because you really benefit so much from competing. But last year, my first year at brown belt, I think I only competed 4 or maybe 5 times, just because like I had so many injuries. Like I had my wrist, my neck, my shoulder, a lot of little things that like it had kept me from competing as much as I wanted to. So I only competed at the Europeans, Pan Ams, and the Worlds. But this year, I am 100% no injuries, and I'm going to do as much as I possibly can, especially before the black belt level.
Yeah. How were your injuries? How'd you get those? Were they all training, or were they during competitions, or what?
They were all training. My neck was an ongoing thing, for a while. I I think a lot of it had to do with my style, because I'm kind of careless. I let guys like stack me a lot. Because my lower back is really flexible, so when I roll with bigger guys, I let them put their legs over my head, and I just kind of hang out there, and berimbolo, things like that. So I had to kind of stop doing that for a while. I had to kind of adjust my game. That's how I hurt my neck, and my wrist, it was kind of a freak accident. One guy, he tried to like cross face me, but he was standing. So you know how guys, like when they try to pass the guard, they'll try to cross face you from standing, and they'll switch their hip. It's like they're like completely airborne for a second.
Yeah.
He had tried to do that, and I had framed with my left hand, but my right hand was on the ground, my elbow, and my hand, and he had switched his hip and fell on my wrist. And can you imagine what that looks like?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like he was like a foot in the air, and it just popped. And this was a week before the Worlds last year. It was terrible.
Yeah, that sounds bad. So
I had to take a lot of painkillers to like not feel it during the competition.
It sounds like obviously some accidents can happen to everybody while they train, but you've actually altered some of your style and what you're doing while you're training to become less injury prone. Yeah,
definitely. Like I would try to, when I hurt my neck, I just focused on passing. I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna do a few quicks. I'm gonna try to sweep my opponent really fast and come up and start passing. Just to avoid getting stacked and all that pressure on my neck.
Yeah, you mentioned earlier about like dealing with jet lag when you're going to travel and go compete. How have you managed that so well?
Well, for the Europeans, I kind of had a head start because I was there for 2.5 weeks.
Okay.
So what I did was I taught a seminar over there or a training camp for the Europeans. So I had kind of a head start to like adjust to the jet lag. Normally I'm fine. I actually enjoy jet lag because I always have trouble sleeping. So like what I do is I try to alter it to like kind of like a fresh start. Like I'll go to bed early and I'll wake up early kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I would use it. That's how I use it for good. So, and especially now, I'm still kind of jet lagged right now. So like I'm taking advantage. I'm falling asleep like 11, waking up at like 6, and trying to like go do strength and conditioning earlier and do drills earlier, things like that.
Wow. That I mean, I don't know why, but the jet lag not really bothering you. That's pretty cool, man.
Yeah, you gotta be positive, Yeah. You gotta take advantage of it in some way.
Yeah. You mentioned earlier about the benefits of competing, and you want to get as many of those as you can. Mm-hmm. What do you mean by that?
So I believe for anybody, not just someone who's a full-time competitor, but like as a hobbyist, if you want to improve in jiu-jitsu, the best way, it's just not about competing, but being able to see yourself on film. Because when you're under that pressure, you're going to do a lot of things that are natural for you to do, and then you're going to do things that you've worked on in training that come into your mind in a moment. But it's important that when you finish the fight, you can sit there and watch like what you did good and what you did bad. And some people, like, it doesn't matter how they won. If they won, they don't like, okay, I don't even need to study the fight and whatever. I won, So a lot of people think like that. And I used to think like that too. But what I think people need to start doing is they need to watch the footage and rather they won or lost, say, okay, why didn't I pass this guy's guard? Like, why? Okay, he had me reverse de la Hiva, and I was just not able to get the knee cut. I was not able to get the crossface or the Toreando. Why? And you look and you say, oh, every time I gripped here, he was grabbing my ankle and he was controlling my footwork. I couldn't kick my leg out. Or every time I tried to crossface, he was framing. So you're gonna say, okay, every time I try and crossface this guy in frames, then you look and you see how his leg is like hanging out there, and you say, oh, maybe I can like smash that leg and go to the other side, and things like that, And I think it's important that you're able to watch your footage and study it, so the next time you're in that specific situation, not in competition but in training, you can say, oh, like, I know what to do in this situation now. And in addition to your overall growth in jiu-jitsu, that really helps,
Yeah.
And also, like, there's been points where I've competed and, like, I'll see a guy try to pass my guard, and I'll recompose my guard in a certain way, and I'll say, wow, like, in the match I don't think anything about it, but afterwards I watch on the video and I say, how did I don't even realize I do that, like, I don't know how I did that. And then you start to realize, like, whenever you're in that situation in training, you start to do that even more, and then you start to really emphasize on that, and then you start to drill that. And the next thing you know, when you're in a specific situation, no one's ever going to pass you guard. So those are just some reasons why I really think it's important to study film and drill and all those kind of things.
Yeah, I like how everybody says, like, if you lose, you learn from it, but you're taking aspects of when you win and you learn from that. You're breaking down your game into small little sections. Okay, this part of the match, I didn't do what I wanted to do. I want to learn from that and see why it happened versus just the overall match. I lost. What happened? Well, I got triangled. Well, what, you're breaking it down into smaller segments and really analyzing what you're doing that you could improve upon.
Yeah, because I fought a guy a few months ago, and the fight was closer than I wanted it to be, And I was just like, and I knew it was bothering me, and I studied the fight over and over and over and over, and I was looking at it, I was like, he keeps getting a certain grip on me, and like, I just didn't know what to do. Like, I was trying everything, but he just kept getting this grip, and I couldn't pass his guard. I won,
Yeah.
But I won by, I definitely won, but still it was like, that afterwards I wasn't happy at all with the fight. I was like, well, I wanted to pass this guy's guard. I wanted to finish the fight, So I had, I went to Cobrinha. I watched the fight with him because I still didn't know the answer, and like, I kept studying it over and over and over and over. And then when I figured out what I needed to do, I just drilled that. So it's just like, I just think that when they fight, if they're really serious about jiu-jitsu, like, they need to see it like that. They need to see, what they could have done better in every single aspect, because that's just how you're going to get better overall. My goal is to be the best at like, in 2 or 3 areas. My goal is to be the best in every area. Like, have the whole flow chart like finished. Like, when he does this, I do this. When he does that, I do that.
Yeah.
Like, if I can't fit in my flow chart, I get really stressed out. I'm like, what am I doing wrong? Like, and I just like sit there and I try to figure it out.
You said a few years ago you weren't competing nearly as much as you are now. Can you think about something that you've learned about yourself or about the competition aspect of jiu-jitsu that you've really taken advantage of before when you were just competing a couple times a year that you really didn't consider?
Definitely the mental aspect of it. The mental aspect of competing is huge. It's something that everybody in jiu-jitsu struggles with. Some people won't admit it, but they do. I mean, it's important that you just have confidence in your ability.
Yeah.
You know? If you don't have that confidence in your ability, it's going to be really, I mean, when the time comes before the fight, you're going to start to doubt yourself, you know? Like Cobrinha always says, he would say, oh, like you know, before coming up to the fight, like you're really positive, but then days before you're going to start to say, I didn't drill my bad side. What if he puts me in my bad side? I didn't do enough strength conditioning. What if I gas out? Like things like that. Like it's important to be true to yourself and understand like that you're 100% ready for something. And it's also important that you have that confidence in yourself and you say, you know what, like you see this guy and you say, oh, like what if I don't, you know, what if he does this, what if he does that? But then also you can look at it like when you see him across the bat, you say, okay, if I was going to train with this guy in training, I would smash him. You know?
Yeah.
You got to be like, you know, like I used to be like that too. I would see a guy and I never saw him before. Like I would say, oh no, like he's Brazilian or he's this or he's that. Like must be really tough. But then like, you know, I had really thought about it and I was just like, man, like if I train with this guy in training, like, you know, I'd probably smash him, you know. So I'm just going to go out there and do the same as I did as I would do in training, you know. So a lot of it's like that mental aspect, that confidence that you got to give yourself, you know. If you got to be real with yourself, you know. I won't lie, I wasn't 100% for the Europeans. Like I got sick before, I had staph before, like I had gone maybe 3 weeks out training before, you know. And my preparation of training was you know about a little more than 1 week. So, but I just went out there and I was real with myself, you know, like I was like, okay, maybe my cardio won't be the best, you know, maybe, you know, my timing will be the best, but I'm just going to go out there and I'm just going to give it my all. And so you just gotta believe in yourself. You gotta have that like self-confidence that you can do it, because that's huge in jiu-jitsu, in the competition. It's huge. It's everything, because it's such it's all improv.
Yeah.
You know? It's not like this cookie cutter, like, okay, you do this and this. No, it's all improv. Like you're going to fight a guy in competition and he doesn't have the exact same game as you train with someone, you know? So it's improv. So it's like important that you have that confidence, you know?
And you're developing that, by competing more, by
competing more, reading helps a lot. Cobrinha gave me some motivational books, and that helped me a lot. You know, reading helps. Believe it or not, it helps.
What would you recommend somebody read who's looking for a little bit better mental?
The one book that really stuck out to me, it was called The Psychology of Champions. That's a really good book. It just basically it's one guy interviewing a bunch of very successful people like Michael Jordan, Bill Gates, like things like that.
Cool.
It's a really good book. Yeah. That helped me a lot.
Get to learn about what they're thinking and what they're doing from the mental side of things.
Their mental aspect before competition, you know.
Kind of keeping on the same note, what do you do before you step on the mat to compete? Do you have like a certain thing you do every time, or is it different?
You know, I used to do this thing where I would you know, listen to music, get all pumped up. I don't know why I'd wash my hands, you know, just you know, it got kind of weird.
Yeah.
But after a while, you know, there's nothing really special that I do. You know, sometimes I don't even listen to music anymore. I just visualize myself, not from like third person view, but like from your own view of like doing the techniques and getting in all the situations, like when if I'm passing, or if I'm playing guard, or if he's past my guard or take my back, you know, I try to visualize every aspect of the fight. So it's like, in a way, you kind of got that first fight over with and the nerves out, you know?
Yeah.
I like to do that. And if there's a mat like at the competition, like they've had at Worlds, I will try to like kind of flow on the mats and do a little bit of drills. That helps a lot too. It gets the nerves out, because you know when you start moving, sometimes you're a little jittery and like, but when you start to get the flow of things, everything gets better, you know.
What makes you more nervous, the first match or the match in the finals? Like, which one is harder to okay, I need to control myself and get things going?
I think it's the first match. I think it's definitely the first match. Yeah, it's just that that confidence thing, you know.
Yeah.
You just got to get it. You just got to get it done, get your flow going, and after that, it's all easy. Cool.
And that's funny because your first match is statistically probably your easiest match of the day. It very well may not be, but you know that last match is going to be a tough competitor across the mat from you.
Yeah.
But it's just like I said, it's the mindset. It's your mental aspect of the game.
Yeah. It's, at the end of the day, also what really helped me in competition there's nothing different from competition than from training. The only difference is that there's a referee. The mat's the same. I mean, also the other difference is there's a bunch of people watching too, right? But nothing's different. You know, Nothing changes. Like jiu-jitsu is the same. You know, you break the grip the same, you pass the guard the same. Like nothing's different. Like you just got to get past that mental aspect. Like you just got to forget that everyone's there and say, I'm just doing the same thing that I do 6 hours a day. You know, that's it. That's all I'm doing. You know.
And
you just got to see it for like what it really is, you know. Yeah, that helped a lot too. That's probably the biggest thing. It's just I was like, you're not doing it to please anybody. You're just some people are like, oh, what if I look bad? What if I make a fool of myself? What if this guy smashes me? You know, no, you just got to go out there and say, you know what, it's the same thing that you do every single day.
Yeah, and like you said, that one of the differences is that people are watching you, but that doesn't affect the match at all, unless you let it affect the match.
Exactly. Yeah.
What advice would you have for a student who's looking at doing their first tournament?
My advice would be to not have any pressure on yourself. It's important that you're going out there and you're just having fun. It's a learning experience. You're not trying to prove anything to anybody. You're not trying to prove anything to yourself. You're just going out there and kind of just having fun and trying to get better at jiu-jitsu. I would say before the competition, just one week before, just focus on the things that you're good at doing. Because if you're not good at doing anything, then you shouldn't be competing, right?
Yeah.
But the things that you're like good at doing, like if you got a good omoplata, if you got a good closed guard, try to have game plans to try to get into those situations. And like I said, not to have any pressure on yourself. That's because it's all learning experience. It really is. Nobody looks at anybody's first white belt tournament. Like I don't know how Cobrinha did at his first white belt tournament. I don't know how Adolfo Vieira did at his first white belt tournament. Leandro Lowe. Like I don't know. They all. Who knows? Maybe they smashed the guy. Maybe they got smashed. But nobody's thinking about that right now.
Yeah, and a lot of people I interview lost lots of matches early on and went many tournaments without even getting a win, and they end up being very good and world class competitors. So that's really good advice. No pressure on yourself. Go out there, learn from it, try to have a good time, and really the week before, don't try to pick up anything new. Just focus on what you do well and try to get a little bit better at that.
Exactly.
And I do think back to what you said about it's the same at your mat on the gym as it is at the tournament. Like just kind of visualize that you're at your school and just try to think of it that way. Maybe help you relax a little bit.
Yeah, that definitely helps. You just got to see it for how it really is. You know?
Do you remember
nothing different? Absolutely nothing different. It's just there's a guy in the middle and there's a bunch of people watching, but jiu-jitsu is the same. Jiu-jitsu doesn't change at all.
Do you remember how your first tournament went?
Yeah, I remember. I was 12 years old. I got second place. I remember I got second place. I won my first fight. I don't know how I took a kid down and took his back or rear naked choked him. And my second fight was the final, right? It was against one of my teammates at the time. He was a little bit bigger. I think he was 2 years older than me. And we trained every day together. I remember he just smashed me. This kid almost smashed me in training. So I remember I think the match was like a minute. He guillotined me or something, and I just tapped like before he even choked me. That little, when you're 12 years old, you don't have the mental strength.
That's not a bad first tournament either. I mean, you won one, but it really doesn't. I mean, if you'd have lost that tournament, you'd still be doing the same things you're doing today at the same success level. I mean, your first tournament really doesn't affect the way you turn up in jiu-jitsu years later.
Yeah, not at all. It's Can
you tell us a little bit about what you were like as a blue belt, the kind of game you played, and the kind of mindset you had?
As a blue belt, I had a pretty good game. I remember I did a lot of omoplatas, and a lot of I would try to do berimbolo a lot. I would try.
Yeah.
I didn't really know how to do the berimbolo, but I would try. I had first seen the berimbolo, I think it was 2008. I saw you know who Michael Lange is?
Yeah.
I saw his little brother Misha Lange was a purple belt, and he was doing the berimbolo on everybody, and like De La Riva and taking the back, and nobody knew what it was, but nobody really cared to really study it. And I remember I'd watch all of his fights and say, "Dang, this guy's using this De La Riva guard and like doing the berimbolo," and I would watch him do it all the time. So I would always try to imitate that in training. I would try to do kind of a De La Riva to the back type style. That was that, and then omoplatas, and that's really all I did. That's all I did. But that was way back, like 2008, 2009.
Do you still see like kind of shadows of that in your game to where you?
Oh yeah. There's a lot of things that stick. De La Riva, omoplatas. I still do the same thing now, but a lot more variations. I don't just depend on those two things.
Yeah, when you go for an omoplata, it seems like a lot of people get frustrated and they almost view it more as a sweep. How are you viewing that, the technique and to finish or to sweep or?
With the omoplata, it's all about being tight with the omoplata. As soon as you lock down that omoplata, first thing you got to do is you got to get your opponent you got to break his posture, and then you got to control his hip. That's all I try to do. As soon as I get the omoplata, I use the leg that triangles over the other leg.
Yeah.
As soon as I lock the omoplata, I make sure that my opponent's not stepping over me, and I just swing that leg as hard as I can. I just keep swinging until I can break the guy's posture and then control around his hip. And then once you control around his hip, it's all about following your opponent. He's going to start rolling, and you got to roll with him. It's about staying tight and understanding the position, because it's really not a hard position to finish from. I mean, a lot of people have trouble with it, but ever since I started training in Cobrinhas, it's for me, it's like once I get the omoplata, I know I'm going to. I don't know 100%, but I have confidence that I can finish the position. It's extremely, extremely strong and effective position.
Yeah, and for myself, I don't compete at the level that you do and go grapple with these big guys. But when I train with a larger opponent or training partner, the omoplata is really nice because you're next to them, and it's like being on their back. Like their size doesn't seem to be able to affect me as much during the omoplata.
It's almost easier sometimes because the bigger they are, the less flexible they are.
Yeah, a lot of times that's true.
And it's easier. I've found that it's easier to omoplata bigger guys because they don't have to stay as tight because they tend to use more strength,
Yeah.
So they don't need to keep their elbow really tight as much. So it's there a lot of time. Not at a high level. If the guy's high level, it doesn't matter who it is. They're not going to let you get the omoplata, but just like normal big guys,
yeah,
you don't have to look for it as much. A lot of times it's just there.
What advice would you have for somebody who's trying to figure out how to develop their game plan?
Well, first of all, it's important for you to understand what you're strong at. So if you've got good triangles, or if you've got good leg locks or passes or whatever, it's important that you know how to get to your strong positions from many different situations. That's so if you fight, or if you're gonna fight a guy and okay, I gotta get this triangle, you say okay, then I'm gonna drill and I'm gonna do specific training with my partner, and I'm gonna see how many different ways I can get to the triangle and from how many different situations. When the guy has both knees on the ground, one knee up, one knee down, he's standing, he's walking back, he's walking forward. It's important that you try and do specific training to figure out how to get to your strong positions from as many places as possible. That's that's the best way to, I think, to develop a strong game plan for competition. Because in competition, it's not always about the best guy. It's about the guy who can always impose his will first. You know?
Yeah.
So it's important that you know how to impose your will from many different situations, because that's what's going to help you get on top.
Yeah, that's really good. I like that. What would be a good goal for a student during their first year of training and learning jiu-jitsu?
A good goal would be to understand jiu-jitsu, because jiu-jitsu is extremely complex. There's so much to it, and you have to understand the dynamics of passing and sweeping, why you're doing the position, why it works, why it doesn't work. And so you have to, I definitely think that they have to try and study and figure out and understand jiu-jitsu, because that's the most important thing. Because you can't just throw a guy in the first day and say, okay, try to train with this guy. And he's just like, oh, I don't really know what to do. You know, it's important that they really understand the art and like what's going on, because after 1 year, you can kind of get what's going on. You know, then you're going to start to see a lot of improvements.
You think that it's best to kind of understand it, like break it down by position-wise and learn about what should I be doing from this?
Not just position-wise, but more like the purpose. Like, why are you trying to pass this guard from this situation? Why they're wanting to pass the guard? You know, because a lot of people they do jiu-jitsu and they just do the motion, but they don't really understand what's going on.
Yeah.
So I think it's important that you help them understand what's going on, and then after they really get it, then little by little start to work positions and help them understand certain situations.
Learn about why you're doing certain things, not just how to do them, and then that'll help you understand what's going on further down the road.
What I really mean is, like, even now, I see a position and like I can see it's effective, but I still, like, I won't even understand the purpose of it. I don't understand why I'm doing it, you know? I'll just say, oh, well, if I'm in this situation, why don't I just do this, you know? And then a person shows me his position, and then I won't get it, you know? But then after training, my technique's not working, and then I see the opening for this other technique, and then I say, oh, that makes sense. Like, now I understand why I really have to do this technique, and then I start to add that to my game, and then next thing you know, it's easy, you know?
Cool. Sounds good. Do you have any sponsors you want to talk about?
First, I want to give a shout out to Moya Brand. They've been, you know, I've been with them for a year now, and you know, they're amazing. Also, Stock MMA, they're a brand out from Spain. They've been sponsoring me. They're the reasons that I get out to I get to Europe every year. I actually go 2 times a year, and they fly me out and help me and everything. So I want to give those guys a shout out. Also, Armbar Soap, Base Chiropractic, and Ubuntu Acai. So couldn't do without those guys.
Cool. Sounds like you have a good team of support there, and I'll put links to those websites on the notes.
Okay, awesome.
How would somebody get a hold of you if they want to train with you or just keep up with what you're doing?
The best way is Instagram. You know, follow me on Instagram at Isaac Doederlein. Also Facebook. That's you can always get a hold of me on there.
Cool, and I'll put links to those pages as well on the show notes.
Awesome.
Hey man, it's been a pleasure talking with you, and I'm looking forward to watching you compete later on this year, and as you go down the tournament stretch here.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate you having me. It's been really fun.
Just want to thank Isaac Doederlein one more time for the interview. He's really cool to talk to on and off the air. Real nice guy. Definitely swing by his Facebook page and like it, and keep up with him because he competes a lot, and it's fun to see guys that are getting out there and doing so well. Next week we have an interview with Robson Mora. You might have heard of him.
Yeah, I think everybody's heard of him.
He's one of the best featherweights, and it's a really cool interview that you get a guy who is at that top level. He's kind of back down. He's working more on coaching and teaching and that, but he's been there, and I think it sounds like he wants to compete a little bit more coming up, and that'll come out next week. But he really stresses that students are there, and his main focus is that they're having a good time, and that they feel like they're part of the group, which is
what we talk about all the time.
Yeah, I mean, it's
neat to hear that.
He's not some. I mean, he's a serious jiu-jitsu person, and that's what he sees that it does for people.
Sometimes I think you think if somebody's like an 8-time world champion, they're going to be, straight, hardcore. Let's get training, let's do this. No talking and then, like you said, here it is, like, hey, we want to have fun.
Yeah.
That's probably why they're so good.
Yeah.
Because they're having fun.
Yeah, it's a really cool interview, and I know you guys are going to love it next week. Should get that on Monday for everybody. We do have some gi patches to give away still. What we do for those typically is if you write a review on iTunes or in Stitcher, send me an email or a message on Facebook. The email is bjjbrick@gmail.com, and the Facebook thing is BJJ Brick's Facebook page, and we'll work with you. We'll get your address and stuff like that, and we'll be happy to send you out a gi patch. Hoping for a 5-star review, but give us what you think we earned.
And maybe we can even send out a autographed picture of Byron with the gi patch.
Oh, Gary, nobody wants that.
8 by 10. I'm just kidding about that.
I won't ruin the postal system.
Yeah,
because people aren't going to want that, Gary. Well, now, Gary, if we can get a nice autographed picture of Gary, maybe with his hair done up extra nice and a rash guard that's kind of tight. Man. So we'll be happy to send you out, unless specifically asked for. Don't worry, guys, we're not going to make you look at a picture of us. It's just going to be a gi patch.
No chance.
No chance. That would require me going to print a picture somewhere.
Yeah.
Not likely. Anyway, we got some gi patch later on. I'll be happy to give you one.
It's the BJJ Brick gi patch.
Absolutely. It's not exactly a huge gi patch either, but
it
gets
good.
The job done. Yeah, it is good looking.
That does have Byron and I on there.
Yeah.
So we won't autograph it, but there's your picture.
Yeah, we don't want to. Yeah, that would make it weird. But I did, I don't have a lot of patches on my gi, but I got a gi and I've got a couple of team patches, and I took it to my mom and I was like, hey, could you sell this? She said, yeah. And then my wife got like a little on me. You need to put your gi patch on there. And my mom's like, you have a gi patch? And I, oh, okay. And she like put it on, I guess. So I have, it's weird to have a picture of myself on my gi.
That's awesome.
It's just weird.
Yeah. I sew it on all my clothes.
So Gary, when he goes to work, he's got like a little logo on his shirt.
Yeah.
And then the other side of it there is the gi patch. Everybody knows.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, it works good.
Maybe we need to...
It shows my legitness, whatever that is.
It's too legit, Gary.
To quit.
Anyway, go swing by the Facebook page and like it. We also have a Twitter account. I think there's on Pinterest, YouTube, most social medias. We're somewhere around.
Yeah, we've got all the accounts. LinkedIn.
I think we both probably do have LinkedIn. I think I do.
Okay.
I don't check that. The best way is Facebook and Twitter. I see most of the stuff that if you message us on Twitter, we get that. But
and if you're ever here, traveling through the Midwest, don't forget to send us an email. If you get through Wichita, Kansas, we'd be happy to train with you.
Absolutely. And next week we do have a quote from Isaac Doederlein as well. So it'll be action-packed episode. So we'll catch you guys next week.
Thanks for listening. We really appreciate all your support.
Stay sweaty, my friends.
Thank you for listening. I hope you find the time today to roll. After all, the best way to get better at Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is to do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.